All right, welcome everyone to another Dave Cooper Live, where we are bringing you the people, the products, and the processes, helping us all to build it better. And today, on the heels of an amazing conversation with Diego Rivera, an offsite and prefab construction industry specialist whose team is empowering better design, manufacture, through data. We're going to shift topics today, but not the passion or the vision for using offsite cold form steel construction to build it better. The title of today's show suggests we should not. That's right, we should not build new homes. What? You may ask me what? Nope, don't build them. Let's manufacture homes and address the significant topic of housing affordability. Could more of my favorite topics fit into one show or even 1 week of shows? Today, we are going to welcome Joshua Braun, founder and CEO of Connects Modular Construction, and we're going to go all the way to Chicagoland. But we can't do any of this without all of our awesome sponsors. So let's give a big shout out to those sponsors. Check this out and make sure you visit them and say hello and say thank you for helping us bring you all of these innovative ideas and innovative people. Forward Solutions Group is successfully driving companies to succeed where others have failed. Are you looking to start a factory? Optimize your existing factory, streamline your production, or take your team to the next level? Whatever your needs are, Forward has a solution for you. Reach out to Ben at forwardsolutionsgroup.com. Howick Ltd. has a long history of innovation in cold form steel manufacturing and producing innovative precision roll forming technology for customers throughout the United States and the world. Check out their machine buyer's guide for offsite modular construction or fast build construction with light steel for framing. Go to their website, howickltd.com. All right. Again, thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us deliver all these conversations. Today is no different. All right. So here we go. We're going to go to Chicagoland. We're going to bring on Josh Braun, CEO and founder of Connects Modular Construction. Josh, how you doing?
Hey, Dave. How are you? Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. We're super excited about today and talking about all the things that you're working on. And we're not just building normal modulars up in Chicago. We're building Connects modulars, and we're going to learn about what that truly means. But first, Josh, we want to know everything about you from the moment you were born to this very moment in time. Do not leave out any of the good stuff from the hospital. Or you know what? We'll call your wife and have her come on the show, and I'm sure that could get quite embarrassing for you pretty quick. But we've been known to do it. Anyhow, let's hear a little bit about who you are, and then let's hop into Connects.
No, thanks. It's a pleasure to be here. So Connects, I'm I guess a little bit just about myself. I'm third generation Chicago real estate. My grandfather started a real estate business, obviously several generations ago. I started off just in my family's business. I literally started off as the janitor for my family's buildings. And then I was a general contractor for about 15 years. And I connected with my co-founder, Paul Tebben, who's an architect. We decided that Chicago, basically about 70 or 80% of the lots in Chicago are basically standard rectangles. And so it kind of made sense that modular should work here. And we couldn't quite understand why no one had done it here. And so we literally connected, came up with a couple of ideas. We had multiple people tell us we were absolutely crazy, and started meeting with the city, building department of the city. They were actually very supportive of the idea, but they also said they thought we were crazy. And we started tweaking our idea, and we were coming up with a couple of different versions. And we then were lucky enough to connect with the Resurrection Project, which was our very, very first client, is actually an investor in Connects. They're a non-for-profit developer focused on providing affordable housing for the Latino community here in Chicago. And then we did one home for them. That was our very first home in 2020. We then also connected through the TRP. We connected with the Lawndale Christian Development Corporation. So they're a group focused on the Black neighborhood on the west side of the city in Lawndale. And so these two organizations each ordered one home in 2021. And we were super, super blessed and honored to be working with them. Not only are we getting our product moving, but we also provided housing for obviously 3 wonderful families that are now Those three homes, I believe, commanded the highest sale price in over 10 years in those locations. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then in last year, we then connected with a couple of larger developers, and we did 32 homes last year. So we went from 2 homes to 32 homes, and this year on pace to put 60 plus homes in the ground. So we're pretty all in neighborhoods that are desperately in need of housing. So we're pretty excited about that.
All right, so let's take a couple steps back here. I mean, I want to go on this journey from, one home to, up to 60 plus homes in the matter of a short amount of time. But first, the idea of so how was the concept of this born? Like, I understand, why did nobody do it here before? But, who in their right mind sits there and goes, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start a manufacturing facility, and we're going to build our homes, and we're going to build it out of steel, and it's going to be affordable. I mean, these are all tall orders. So how did that come about, and how did you and anybody on your team, how did this grow? Give us the starting point.
Well, I mean, I think that I think the cool thing about when you start something from scratch, you don't know what you don't know, right? That's what I learned about Connects, and what I don't know is a lot of shit. So I also am a firm believer. There's two things that I sort of came up with. That one is you don't know what you don't know, and the other one is if you think you're the smartest person in the room, it's time to find a new room. And so I'm a firm believer that I'm very, very lucky. My partner Paul Tebben is an amazing architect. He's really specialized in residential construction. I connected with our structural engineer, a gentleman by the name of Josh Dorzbach, who is very talented. He focuses on big buildings. And so we connected through my cousin, and Josh, we hit it all off kind of instantaneously. And we kind of ran with the idea. I think that people today, they don't appreciate that. I think it takes time to build something, right? I'm sure anybody watching this show, and especially a lot of your other people that have been on the show, you're innovating, you're building something, and you're making and so I say that a lot of people are like, oh yeah, sure, you're making something, but I don't think that it's one thing to be making a coffee cup, right? I make the coffee cup and I sit in a machine and out pops 1,000 coffee cups. When you're designing a product that is made of hundreds of components and it has to be moved and transported, all these things. I mean, I talked to one person who said to me when we delivered I think our third or fourth home, he was like, well, I don't understand why it's not perfect. He's like, it should come off the line just like a car. And I was like, well, that's true, but I said, think of the hundreds of thousands or maybe even millions of cars that Ford or pick any more car company has produced to get that perfect car. So everyone comes off the line perfect. And I think that's the biggest part, and where I really what's been really cool, right, is really innovating and coming up with something that and here in Chicago, it's something that nobody, we're very honored. We are the first modular construction company in the third largest city, if you want to call it, the third largest city in the country. And it really, it wasn't done before, I think because nobody tried it, or people really didn't really know what to do with it. And so I think, Dave, I think a lot of it's just the ability to have persistence, and some of it's right place, right time, right? There's a little bit of a right place, right time. And you asked about where the cold form framing stuff comes with. That was COVID, good old COVID. So we got underway. We signed a lease for our prototype space. We signed a contract, and that was literally in January of 2020.
Yeah.
And so we all know what happened in March 2020.
When you say steel because of COVID, because of the wood price increases, so when you were coming up with this concept, you were trying to figure that out. But hey, listen, I mean, for manufacturing steel, man, it makes it much easier when it comes to everything being uniform and and straight.
Yeah, I mean, in the end, it was, so our very first prototype home that we did in 2020 was wood. It was a wood-based product. And so we weren't originally having this whole idea that we're going to do it out of metal. It just, because of COVID, I mean, everybody, I'm sure most people on here know what happened. Wood prices just went through the roof.
Yeah, they did.
And we had made a connection with a cold form framing supplier, and we were like, oh, okay, it makes sense. Mm-hmm. And then it just kind of just snowballed, because the problem is that one of the biggest things that I think a lot of people don't appreciate, even though cold form is relatively easy to work with, you do have a whole separate set of tools, right? Yeah. You have to have special drills and special grinders and cutters and all that stuff. And so I think we started down the path And then it just was like, yeah, why bother? Because the other thing that became really clear is we did our first home, and I remember very distinctly we had to return like a third of a pallet of two bys because they were either like warped or knotted, or we
Yeah.
couldn't use them, whatever. And that happened like, I mean, from my construction when I was at GC, like that was really common, right?
Sure.
Like, I mean, I mean, I know you were formerly also in that world, and I mean, that's the problem with wood. I mean, wood's a great product. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to sit here and knock wood, but it really is, the cold form. It's great, and it also the other cool thing is that it comes exactly the way we need it. So it gives us a wider variety of employee opportunities. So
So
we have a bunch of guys. Yeah.
you guys
Good.
aren't rolling your own steel then in your factory. Your factory is more of an assembly line approach.
Yeah, that's correct. So we partner. So I'm also that's the other thing. Like my business model, you take sort of Katera as an extreme. They were like diehard on vertical integration, right? Like they
Hmm.
wanted to do like everything. And the problem is you can't be everything for everybody. So, we don't at this moment in this time. Why would I go try to do something that someone else is doing really, really well and can do it way faster and in theory probably way cheaper? So we sort of have some really solid, what I would call, they're not formal partnerships, but we have
Hmm.
a handful of vendors that we work with it's very relationship driven. So we have some great connections. We're
So
very happy
walk me
working with
through
you.
your factory. In fact, we can play a video here while you start talking about it as well. But I'd like to learn a little bit more about the setup of the factory and how are you doing this production, and maybe tell us a little bit about the workforce in your factory while we watch it as well. Here, I'll put it up now.
Yeah, sure. So we're a cold form based product. So all of our metal obviously comes created. There's me. I got the opportunity to work a little bit. So all of our metal comes kind of for our needs. And so essentially we've created essentially sort of two parts. We have a panelizing division, and then
Hmm.
we have like a full like assembly line process. So essentially what it is that all of our metals, prepped and designed for our specifications. And the cool thing is that we really have a very, very variable workforce. I have guys that literally they started at, 50, here in Chicago, minimum wage is $15 an hour. They start, they literally show up and they're like, yeah, I don't know how to do anything.
Yeah.
And then we have very skilled laborers at the other end of the spectrum, right? So the cool thing about the metal is that we have guys that we start out and saying like, look, do you know how to use a drill? And they're like, sure. So we have a bunch of ex gangbangers, we have a bunch of ex cons, and we're very proud of that. They are very, very wonderful workers. We have a couple guys that have been here for a couple of years. We have one guy that I'm extremely proud of. He started out, no joke, at $15 an hour. He had an ankle bracelet on. Can't really tell. He was I don't know, he was in prison for something. I
Yeah.
don't
Yeah.
remember what. Obviously, no violent offenders, of course. But,
Sure.
and he is now, basically a year later, he's one of our team leads. He's making, I think, 22 or $23 an hour. And,
Wow.
his ankle bracelet's gone. He's helping support his family. I mean, literally, it's awesome. He was in a custody issue with his daughter. He now, because he has a steady job, he was able to help get custody of the kid. So it's like all the positive things that you want to be happening. Some of it
Yeah.
is just being able to provide steady work for people that really need it,
Sure.
and that's part of what we're doing.
And a place to grow. So how many people are on your team?
So what's really cool is that in August of 2021, we had 8 employees, and we now have over 50 employees.
So you went from 8 to 50 employees, and then tell us a little bit about like who your projects, who your customers are, and do you do your own development as well?
So most of our projects are our clientele is primarily either non-for-profit developers.
Hmm.
So which of course that's a whole sector of work, people that are working on attainable housing. And then we have market rate developers. We have a couple of market rate projects. And then here in Chicago, there's a couple of the market rate developers sort of sectored off into a couple of different areas. Some market rate developers Chicago has a program called the Affordable Residential Ordinance, which is ARO. So ARO developers are required to provide a certain percentage of that project. If they're building a market rate project, they have to build a percentage of it has to be affordable. And so
Hmm.
they can either do it on site or off site. So our product, because of the speed that we can deliver, the developers actually really like it because, of course, it's not a money maker. The affordable component is not a money maker for them. The market rate stuff is where they're making all the money. So in this case,
Sure.
this is a nice sort of ability for them to sort of help move their product forward very quickly, and it sort of takes a lot of a lot of the brain damage out of their process, so they don't have to worry about it. And then we have standard market rate developers. It's really cool. We worked with a developer on the south side who has three structures that we did for him. We did a phase one was just a single home, and then he wanted
Yeah.
two more all next to each other, and that's been very, very well received. They came out really nice. And then, so we work from everything, anywhere from single homes all the way up to 30 plus projects. So what? You go ahead.
Yeah. So when you say 30 plus, so single family homes, do you do any multi-story projects? In other
Yeah,
words, like condos, townhouses, things of that nature?
yeah. So actually, what I was going to tell you, so we and I don't know, Dave, if you want to pull up our website under the Homes tab, which I don't know that might be helpful.
Sure.
So what we've been focused on up until recently is really just sort of a good, what we call our starter home, just a very
Hmm.
sort of typical 3 bedroom, 2 bath home. We sold at this point 40, I don't know, more than 40 of them. And so, just which is a kind of just a good middle of the road attainable housing. And I'm using the word attainable because it's really, I think our product is really focused on kind of the missing middle,
Yeah.
which a lot of people have started to talk about. So I think a lot of times people think of affordable and they immediately jump to like low income. And what's really missing around the country is really that workforce housing. People who they have good steady jobs. They can easily afford a basic home, but there's really no product. So these are real photos, by the way. So I want to point this out. So these are
Hmm.
not digital images or anything. These are actually all projects. So very proud of the photo on the right. Those are our first and third home. The photo on the left with the two homes that are facing each us, those are a project that we're just finished up.
Hmm.
And then the one in the corner is our second home. So we're really proud of all these projects. And these are the interior of our houses. So we build with LVT flooring. We just have we use, obviously, we're 100% drywall. In our cabinets. This is the market rate project that we did here, the kitchen, which is really cool. We've been working with Samsung, so we've been really lucky. We connected with Samsung early on, and it's been really cool. We use Moen faucets, and we're in talks trying to see if we may be switching over to Kohler. So we're trying to use kind of standard products. So
Sure.
this is where I want to tell you. We won't drill for too long, but if you want to, so this is a brand new design. So what we've been trying to really focus on is how do you create a product that is a market rate affordable home, right? So a lot of times people talk about affordable housing or attainable housing, and there's a whole list of subsidies that tend to go with it.
Yeah.
And so what we really wanted to do was create a product that is out of the gate is just affordable by the very nature of the product itself. So this is a 2 bedroom, 1 bath ranch home, which, although probably a lot of the people that are viewing, ranch homes are really common in a lot of part of the country. Chicago is a very, very individualized city. So we have probably this outside of New York. I think we have the strictest building codes in the country. That we're heavy into brick here. People, like, literally, when you talk to people, they're like, "What's the deal? Like, where's the brick?" Right? Everyone wants to know where the brick is. But of course, as you probably know, Dave, and I'm sure you'd agree with me, brick has become, like masonry, is very expensive these
Sure it
days.
is.
So we've really been focusing on trying to come up with products that work. We can do brick. We're actually in the process of doing 9 homes that will have brick on them. So we don't need to keep going through all of them, Dave.
Sure.
The first one is our ranch, and then the next one, if you want to go down just two more, well, not this one, the one below it. This is sort of our standard sort of single family home.
Hmm.
So, which is really cool. It's like 1,700 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath. Kind of, this product can go basically anywhere in the city. All of
Yep.
our products can go anywhere in the city, basically. So we have, and then below that, we basically been working on what's called a granny flat. I don't know if that term exists in other parts of the country, but that's essentially a single family home with a apartment below it.
Yep.
And then we have a sort of what you would call like a traditional two flat, which is just two apartments, one on top of the other, and
Hmm.
then we have a three flat. So we have
So what
everything from a single family home up to a three flat.
what are we looking at as far as dimensions on most of these? You have a standard width and length that you're trying to stick within that fits in the Chicagoland area. Otherwise, like for infill lots, things of that nature.
Yeah, so I guess I jumped over really quickly. You were asking kind of where Connect started. So Connect was really started under the idea that basically 75 or 80% of the lots in the city are all rectangles, and they're
Hmm.
all essentially 25 by 125. Like you can throw a rock anywhere in the city and you'll hit a lot that's basically that size. So a standard city of Chicago lot will take a 19-foot wide building. So our typical module is our typical module is 19 feet wide.
Yeah.
we have like going this direction, we have 8, 10, and 12. And so what we do is, we're stacked the building front to back. And
Right.
then essentially we just set our modules down in a series of rectangles. So what makes Connects, I think, really unique is our modules are small. They're small intentionally. So we move them around the city with a pickup truck. We don't no wide load requirements, no height restrictions. We deliver with a 30-ton crane, which is obviously dramatically smaller than most modular builders. We even delivered a house. I don't think we have any video, but we actually delivered 2 houses this year already from the alley side, which is like a
Okay.
really big deal, because Chicago's full of alleys. So it was actually, there was too much stuff in the front. So we actually were able to get the crane positioned properly, and we actually offloaded from the alley side, which was really cool. Like that was actually really cool to be able to do.
How are you lifting these with just a 30-ton crane? I mean, especially if you're on the alley side, don't you have a heck of a boom to get to where you want to go, don't you?
Well, that's a really good question. We have an amazing crane partner that we work with, and we engineered them so that they can be delivered in the city. So they are engineered to be urban infill. So
Yeah.
we delivered a product, one of our homes in February. No joke. They were threading the module past the building next to it, and they must have, the module swung past the building and missed. I don't want to say missed because of course it was intentional, but cleared the building by, no joke, it must have been, a foot, 8 inches. I mean, and that was pretty cool to see.
Well, what's really, interesting about this and things that I'm sure you're dealing with, so I'm going to point them out anyhow, right, is when you're doing these infill projects, it's not your traditional build. Depending on how far you are from the other building, there's fire codes, fire rating. If you're going to have windows on those sides, you're going to need fire-rated windows, self-closing windows. I mean, that whole, I've done a lot of stuff in Jersey City and New York City on infill and modular years ago, so I remember the headaches that they had. And then you add on top of that, when you're digging your foundations and your footers next to an existing building that's right there, sometimes their existing footers and foundations don't go like we thought they would go, and you could find yourself underpinning the buildings next to you. I mean, these are all things I have to imagine you're running into, because I've done this once or twice.
Yeah, building here is interesting. So a lot of Chicago has something like 10 or 15,000 vacant lots in the city. And what was interesting, a lot of the vacant lots were turned vacant after Chicago had a wonderful riot back in the 60s. And so unfortunately, a lot of the neighborhoods, which the city is in the process of revitalizing and really need it, and we're very excited to be working in it.
Yeah.
A lot of these vacant lots were literally just old buildings that they collapsed whoever at the time, they just literally just collapsed the building into the foundation. So we intentionally, so our standard design is just a slab on grade foundation. So it's a perimeter foundation. And so we do that intentionally to be able to maintain as much of the dirt or garbage that's in the ground. So we don't have to actually be constantly pulling it out. So we really did design our foundation and our system to work as an infill product and to really work with the what I would call most of the site conditions in Chicago. So of course luckily we haven't had to underpin anything yet. We did have a project where we were concerned that we were going to have to do some shoring, but our foundations, obviously, we're only a 42-inch down frost wall, and then with a 1-foot footing underneath it.
Right.
And then we essentially we backfill everything, and then there's just a rodent. We do a mud slab for just rodent control to avoid any issues. So, but we don't do a basement currently, but we're actually really excited. We have a project that's going to be going in for permit that actually will have, it's going to be a 3-story project that will have basements and a roof deck. So we're actually really excited to be doing that. So there's 14 of those that are going on.
There's 14 of those going on. We're going to go to some comments and questions here in just a moment as well. We also have a longer video. I may just play it with the sound off in the background when we talk so people can really see, the full scope of everything you guys are doing. But I think let's say hello to a few people. What do you think? Sound like a good idea?
Sure. Yeah.
All right, let's go here. We got. Let me go to this view here. Hey, Demita. Man, Demita's really been tuning in a lot. Good to see you. Yeah, Cooper Live Time. I love that. I need a shirt that says that. What do you think? Cooper Live Time. I love it. Good to see you, Demita. Thank you. Aaron Furman, Dave, the energy is electric. I love it. Well, I love what I do, Aaron. I appreciate you tuning in. I see you got some longer comments down below here. We'll see if we can get to those as well. We got Andrew Sealy out there somewhere in Texas, always stoked for the cool folks. and cool happenings in Chicago. Super cool. Hey, surfs up to Andrew Seeley. He just had like Slater, the surfing guy, like one of his videos. He was all pumped. It's like, yeah. But he likes that stuff. He's kind of crazy. Rides around his property doing work on a one wheel. It's fun.
That's awesome.
Lots of fun. All right, let's see what Aaron Furman said here. I didn't get a chance to read it, so we're just going to put it up there. COVID for the price skyrocketing, but we forget about the imposition of tariffs on Canadian softwood lumber by the U.S. government in 2019, right? Yeah, very true. U.S. decreased the Chinese imports of lumber in North America. Yep. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's all kinds of factors, some that are known, and I'm sure some that are hidden, and some that only happen in boardrooms when it comes to driving profits. But we can only speculate on those things. Tom Reddy's in the house. Now, you want to talk about cold form steel? This is a cold form steel guru right here. Love your comments, Dave. Cold form steel, uniform and straight. Josh, great model and beautiful pictures. I would love to connect to discuss if you're interested in expanding those relationships with suppliers to drive efficiently and reduce costs. Well, look at Tom putting himself out there, and he should. The guy knows his stuff. Hey, and who doesn't? Like, just kind of like you from Chicago, Josh. Tom Reddy's from Pittsburgh, and we all know how we grew up. That's steel mill country here, so he understands the market real well. Good to see you, Tom. Across the pond, Henry Mickelberg. Chicago deserves companies like Connex to make a difference there. Breaks my heart what's happening to this former manufacturing powerhouse.
Well, we're bringing it back, Henry.
Well, that's it, right? That's it. Like it's time to clean it up and reutilize, revitalize, and like you're doing now. I mean, you said it. You're putting the gang members to work. You're putting incarcerated people that are coming out to work. Some even with bracelets on. Like the tracking bracelets. And a lot of people across this country have a similar idea, Josh, but not enough people realize that there is an entire workforce waiting out there that needs a second chance. And as you're finding out, some of the ones that you have hired have climbed the chain of command already and are doing amazing things. And you never know. People get down on their luck in their lives. Things happen. The market drops. You lose everything, whatever the case is. There's always a story behind some of these people. And I think it's awesome that you're giving them a second chance. Well done.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
Demita, are these designs ready for Florida? Demita asks.
Well, technically, I mean, I like to tell people, look, since we build in Chicago, we have the strictest building codes in the country. So we don't meet any of the seismic stuff that's going on out in California, of course. But yeah, I think the short answer is probably.
Well, then that's it, right? I think with the steel and getting what you need to have done for seismic and shear walls and hurricane, I know the Windy City gets some wind, so I'm sure you're having to do some pretty good shear walls up there.
Yeah, no, we exceed ICC snow loads, wind loads, and our values. So yeah. We're 100% electric. I guess we didn't even talk about that stuff, Dave.
Love it. Greg Alaha, how you doing, Greg? Good to see you. He says, great direction, loving it. Oh, and here we go. We got the past chair of the National Association of Home Builders asking, how far can Josh deliver the Connex products? By the way, he's asking because he's in Connecticut. Just telling you. and he's a developer. He just doesn't update the president of the United States. He also is a developer.
Like any modular construction, we can send it. They're designed to go anywhere. I think it's. Do you want to go off on a tangent, Dave, or you want to keep going through? I don't want to disrupt.
All right, Josh. So we talked about this before the show. You not going off on a tangent just wouldn't seem right. So go for it.
No, I think that, look, I know I'm probably going to get dinged for my comments, but I think that the problem with modular construction is, like, look, everyone wants to build like a giant factory and then ship everything, right? So the problem is, like, it's expensive. As my partner said, you're shipping air. And so the problem is that if you like, I talked to some guy who's like, oh, I found modular homes that are from China. I'm going to order them in China. I'm going to ship them here. And he was like somewhere in the middle of the country. And I was like, let me get this straight. So you're going to order homes from China, ship them across the ocean, then have them driven or trained across the country or to the middle of the country. I said, like, how much is that costing? He's like, oh, no, it's such a better deal. And I was like, I don't buy it. Like think of the amount of energy that you're wasting moving a box of air across the country. So I really believe that the bigger concept is really to make some sort of a combination of modular and site construction, and you've got to you marry them, right? Mm-hmm. And you marry them based on where you're working. And so the short answer is, like, to the gentleman from Connecticut, yeah, I'll ship you a home and we'll send it anywhere. But I really believe that that's not the most efficient way to get modular really moving
Sure.
across the country.
Yeah, for sure. I agree with that. I mean, 100%. I mean, you can go, a few hundred miles, but not across across the whole country for sure. Thanks, Greg. Appreciate you always tuning in and asking the good questions to get us going on this show. All right, Josh. So let's talk about proprietary things. You're going to give up all your trade secrets right here and now, Dave Cooper Live. Everybody does, right? So we can all grow. Tell us some unique things about your product. Do you have any awesome locking mechanisms when you're setting? Like, have you guys, tell us how these units all come together and how do you lock them together? Do you weld them? Are you using nuts and bolts? Do you have some clamps? What? Talk us through it.
Do you remember Hubba Bubba Gum?
Yeah, sure.
We just
be big in my, right?
just bubble gum and duct tape, Dave. What else do you need? No. We're since we're cold form frame, we're only engineered to go up 3 stories, so we don't do any large. We don't do large structures. So we're mechanically fastened. It's not rocket science. We don't actually have anything that's patentable. We've actually kind of explored it. It's really it's just a mechanically fastened connection. We're 100% metal, so we use a combination of screws and pin system. I guess I can plug Aerosmith. They have a great pin system. I don't know who else does one, anyways. But I'm not supposed to be plugging people, am I? But
you can plug whoever you want. It don't bother me. Now this is live, so
they have Aerosmith has a great pin system that we've been working with. We've been very happy. And so what we do, our current design has 10 modules. We ship them out at one, we trailer them around with a pickup truck. They weigh in somewhere around 8,500 to 9,500 pounds. And our system here in the shop, we move them manually. So we don't have jacks. I don't have fancy air systems. We don't need any of that stuff. So everything we really designed out of the gate, since, as I said, you don't know what you don't know. So I'm stupid enough to start with what seemed logical.
Yeah.
So we currently do not have what I would call a lot of automation, because I believe that you want to make sure, I want to make, as we begin to move forward into automation, I want the automation to work for me. I don't want to be working for the automation. And so I think a lot of modular companies, and I don't want to be knocking anybody else in this who might be listening, but a lot of them start with software engineers or they're finance guys. I mean, Dave, you're a construction guy, right? So I'm a construction guy. My partner is a construction guy. So we started with construction. We started with what we know, and we went that direction. So we didn't dive in with software and technology and all that. I mean, I talked to someone at a former modular company that is no longer around. I'm not going to say who they are because I'm not here to bash anybody. But I talked to somebody who said that he worked at this company, and he said they bought some $30,000 laser system. And the guy said he worked at the facility for 8 months, and he's like, nobody knew how to work it. I was like, no, you're kidding, right? And he's like, no. He's like, they bought it. He's like, nobody knew how to work it. They didn't know what to do with it. But someone told them they needed it, so they went and bought it. And so, go ahead, sorry.
Well, I was going to say, I mean, this is a common thing that I see, across the country when we're traveling, and people are always saying, where do we start? And you're starting where you should start. And that is defining what you're building, what the products are, and what the process is, and then bringing in pieces, steps and pieces, the technical and automation side. Now, with that said, let me ask you where you started with your software and your design. What are you using for that?
So I'm probably gonna get dinged for this comment. So I'm gonna answer that with a little bit of a story. So I got to speak at a function last year, a ULI event, and some guy it was on affordable housing, and I don't know, someone asked me I didn't know anything. I still don't know anything, but someone wanted to hear what I had to say. So some kid who was from California comes up to me at the end of the thing, and he said, "Hey," he's like, "So how much modeling did you do before you built your first home?" And I looked at him and I go, 0. And he looked at me like I had 6 heads. And he's like, "What are you talking about?" I said, "We just built it." I said, "We didn't." So I think that is some of the problem, Dave, is that I think that today people are so reliant on software and apps and technology and everything. They want to use it. They want to make sure it's working or whatever. And a very good friend of mine that I've known for a long time, this guy has nothing to do with the building industry. He's a chef, a very, very well-respected chef here in Chicago. We know each other, and I was meeting with him, talking about my ideas, whatever. And one day he just says to me, "Fucking build it." And I'm like, "Oh, you don't understand. I need this and I need that." And he's like, "What the fuck are you waiting for?" He's like, "Just fucking build the thing." And he's like, "If it works, great. He's like, if it didn't work, what have you lost?"
Yeah.
And at first I was like, no, he's crazy. Like, no way. And that's what we did. We bootstrapped. Connects was bootstrapped. We started with $300,000. I shopped the design around, and my father, who was one of my original investors, he said to me that it's my money, Paul's money, and my dad were the original investors. And my dad said, I'll give you money if you sell your first one. He's like, I don't care if you make a dime on it. He's like, you can lose all the money. He's like, just find a buyer for it. He's like, don't just build it without a buyer. So I said, fine. So that's that. I mean, now we are on a Revit platform. Sorry,
I
just
figured as much, yeah.
to come full circle to your answer to your question. We are on a Revit platform, and we did. Paul though started it with CAD, and I think that is part of the problem, Dave. That you and I were talking before the show started. That is part of the problem is that today, all the money that's driving innovation, everything, it's all Wall Street software based.
Yeah.
So everyone wants to use technology and software, whatever. But the problem is, like in the end, you're still building something, you're still making something, and so you can model the shit out of something, but once you go and put it into real life, that's like a whole. I mean, we came up with a parapet system, right? So just as an example, so we just built a parapet wall system on a new design. My head of construction, he modeled the whole thing through SketchUp, and he did a really cool thing, and he actually showed it to me. I was like, oh, this is so cool. And then when we went to build it, ironically, we found a whole list of shit that didn't work with the SketchUp design, and he had scaled it and everything. So that's like and that was something small, right? That wasn't even like a full house. So I do think that that's a big piece of it, is that some of it is just people willing to take the time and the energy to just be like, yeah, well, fuck it, I'm going to start building it and see what happens, and then fix it.
Well, I mean, listen, I agree with that when you're starting out and you're trying to figure out what it is you're doing and what you're building, and you're tiptoeing around trying to figure out what all the parts and pieces are. And somebody every once in a while needs to say, just get your head out of and just start, because how do you get going? You just start. I interviewed a really big country singer years ago, and we were doing a volunteer thing, raising money for veterans. And I said, how do people, how do you get started in this? And he said the same thing. He goes, just start. It's that simple. Now, with that said, though, looking at your designs, going to 60 units, I see you're putting in the MEPs just from the videos we were watching. It's becoming more complicated because it's not just one building now. And I think I don't think, or maybe you would. Would you tell people out there to do 60 buildings without putting it in a system today like Revit?
Well, no. No,
right.
Of course not. But so totally. But I think but that's the whole thing, though, right? Like I think that's the problem is that you're the modular world, or a lot of what's going on is being funded from software. It's being from technology, and that's an industry where it's easy. Like you punch a button and like out spits 50 apps or whatever. And so the problem though is that I think that it's very, very frustrating. We've talked. We're in the middle of a capital raise, and it's really frustrating. Like we've talked to investors and stuff, and so it's very common that the investors want to understand, like, why can't you go from 0 to like 10,000? Like you should be able to do that. And it's like, but you can't, right? Like I mean, a company like Ford that's been in existence for whatever 100 years, they make it look easy when they come up with a new design. But I've never actually talked to an executive of Ford, but I would venture to guess that if you spoke to an executive of Ford, they would tell you that a new design takes years for them to spit out. Right, it doesn't get spit out in 6 months, and so when Gary Fleischer, who I'm sure you know really, really well, I had an opportunity to speak to him recently. By the way, Gary, hi if you're listening. It was nice talking to you a couple weeks ago. We ended up actually having a whole conversation about Boxable, and there was an article that came out about Boxable, and it's actually really sad because Boxable has like so much potential, right? They have so much technology, so much everything, and everyone keeps asking like where are all their houses, and so that. To me, when I read the article that they haven't been able to get their like thing moving, get the process moving, there's a side of this where like I'm not really surprised because they've tried to go from like 0 to 10 to 1,000 or something like that.
Well, it's funny you brought up Boxable. I will be staying at Boxable in one of their casitas and showcasing the manufacturing plant starting Saturday.
I plugged that for you, Dave. That was for you.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you knew that was coming, but thank you. But no, we will be out there, and we're going to spend time in the factory. In fact, we're having an industry event where we have executives, CEOs, and executives from around the world. So we're going to answer all those questions. There's one thing about putting stuff out there. There's another thing actually going and having the conversation and talking with people and understanding what's going on because, you say they have a lot of automation. They don't. That's the difference, right? There's something bigger that's going on, and I'm hoping to uncover what it is while we're out there, because we don't need any more failures in this industry.
Totally.
So I'm hoping you can't believe everything you read type thing, and I have a feeling that might be it. But who knows? I
Well,
can't predict what's happening at that level. You don't know.
I think that today, we talk, there's a lot with social media, no disrespect, we're obviously on social media, but I think that today there's so much hype. I mean, forget about even construction, like take modular out of it. Like you can pick a
Yeah.
totally different industry. That they're coming up with like new ideas and new designs, whatever. And there's so much hype, and half the time you don't even know it. The reason why I specifically said when you were showing the photos on my website that those are real photos is
Yeah.
I feel like today, like the digital images are so good that half the time
They
you don't
are.
even know if it's real.
That's right.
And so there are a whole bunch of modular companies that have been trying to raise capital. I'm not going to start naming names. We all know who they are, that have been raising money, or forget about even modular, go to another industry, and they're trying to do all this stuff, and it's not necessarily even real, right? It's the perception has become reality. And I actually told my design team, who does a lot of our marketing, I told them, I said, look, I want to do a marketing push to just no smoke and mirrors. Right? Like
Yeah.
I want everything to be real photos, real videos, so people can see that we're actually building stuff, we're actually doing stuff, we're putting homes in the ground. Like that, that's what that's what we're about. We're about just, building homes and building them really well and hopefully building them really fast.
Well, and that's the idea. I mean, 100%. Building them fast, but building them in affordable ways. Is
Well,
there as well.
that's the key thing, right? I mean, I think that you obviously do a lot of your main thing is modular. It's really interesting. I'd be curious to get your take on this. A lot of times we talk to people who don't really understand modular, and the very first thing is, you're modular, you must be cheaper, right? Like it happens like immediately,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so my response is always the same. Why? The cost of a 2x4 for me is the same as the cost for you. So it's
Yeah,
not like
yeah.
my material costs are dramatically cheaper.
Yeah.
So I'd like to get your take on that. Like, what's your feedback on that? Because
Yeah, I mean,
I bet you that's a common thread, right?
well, it's been a common thread for the 20 plus years I've been doing it, and there's a bunch of different, answers to it. But the reality of it is, to me, I always tell customers, I said, it shouldn't be cheaper. It's better built. It's square. In this case, I was doing a lot of lumber more than steel. It's dry kiln lumber. You're moving into your house faster. Your construction loan's shorter. Dot, dot, dot. Like, it's been a while since I had to defend, building a modular, but it shouldn't, it should actually cost more, because it is better built. It's a better structure. There's better quality control. You're not picking somebody up at 7-Eleven on the side of the road because, you paid your workers Friday and nobody showed back up till Wednesday when they ran out of money from the bar, right? These are all real things that happen in the construction space. So, and I don't mean that disrespectful to people out there, but when you're building something with the precision and quality that we can build to, especially today, more so even when I was doing it, it should be more, but the efficiency should have it at least equal. I don't think it should be ever less, unless we can get the production level out of it, like the automobiles, to where you can get that kind of level done. Now, if you look at and why it's so hard, like for production, like we're production builders, think KB Homes, Ryan Homes, all, they have direct purchasing, right? So that Kohler toilet that you want to buy will cost you $130. They pay $35 for it because of the
Right.
sheer volume
Right.
that they're doing. And that's hard to compete with. And that's where our industry is. We're getting through manufacturing. Once you can step up and you can buy at the volume that these big players are doing, then it becomes a lot more competitive price-wise for the rest of us.
Yeah,
Is
and
that a long-winded answer?
no, I completely, actually, I agree with it 100%. And I think that's the interesting thing, is that I think that, modular accounts for what, like 5% of the country's construction. Maybe it's a little more, a little less. You probably know that stat better than I
So,
do.
well, it's for 20 years, it's been 3 to 5%. And then what are we considering modulars? And then are we putting ADUs in that? Is an ADU a modular? Like, the numbers are all over the place. But it is growing in popularity. I know that. So it'd be interesting to see what the stats are coming up this year.
Yeah, no, I'm actually curious, because I think that it's funny, because we, for example, look, we're hoping to do 60 homes this year, which is, I think, for a brand new company, is a lot, right? Like, we're really
Yeah,
proud of
for
that.
sure.
But you talk to someone, like, we'll just use Kohler, right? I was talking to Kohler at the Builder Show, and the thing is that in their mind, like 60 homes, like, oh, you're doing the 60 homes, affordable, oh, like, that's really cool. They're like, yeah, we do that in like an afternoon, right? And so even
Yeah.
like some of our vendors, like I think I think we're doing a lot, right? Like we had USG, we're here in Chicago, right? So USG is 20 minutes from here. So we had USG out. It was really cool, and I think we go through a ton of drywall because we literally get it literally by the truckload, right? Like we don't get like
Yeah,
pallets. We get like the whole truck shows up with it, but that's like nothing. Like USG's like, yeah, they're like, that's really awesome, and we're really proud of you, and we are here to help. But they're like, we delivered that much drywall, 20 minutes ago. And so
that's
I
right.
think that's also the disconnect, that even if some of these larger modular companies who are really impressive that are doing stuff on the East Coast and the West Coast, they're still not at the volume, right? Like they're still not like KV Homes would still be like they eclipse them, right? What they can put out. And so I think as a whole, we're going to start to see, I think you're going to start to see companies like USG, like DuPont, like some of the other big name companies are going to hopefully will start to be like, you know what, we want to work with the modular. We want to create a modular division. We
Yeah.
want to focus on modular. And so they're going to start creating a division that really is much more designed to work with what modular builders are doing versus trying to
For
take,
sure.
a product and kind of bastardize it to meet the needs of whatever we're doing. But
Yep.
my ultimate goal, Dave, is I want a company who comes up with a panelized product that will look like drywall but doesn't install like drywall. So if
Yeah,
anyone's
well,
listening
that's
here and
it.
comes up with that, I'll start buying it.
That's it. Like who's gonna come up with the drywall killer, right? Because that is the Achilles heel of pretty much every manufacturing facility that's out there is drywall. So I agree with that. All right, let's do a couple more comments, and we're out of time here. So let me see what we got. Andrew Seeley says, "Real talk. Sometimes you have to drag the material world into the digital world by hand. The digital world doesn't always easily move the results from the weeds to the sales floor. The existing gaps often take a lot more to bridge." Andrew Seeley, he's one of the most smart guys out there that I like. Henry
Very true.
Mickelberg's out there giving you kudos. He likes this guy. No BS. Love it. Love it. Good to see you. That's Henry, too. He can appreciate that. Here's a guy that's no stranger to the offsite industry, Jerry McCaughey. You really need to have a great software platform, but more importantly, you need great experienced, knowledgeable design team. It still comes down to the quality of the team and the people. That's right. It's all about culture, and Jerry McCaughey gets that better than anybody as he has built teams around the world. Jerry, am I going to see you out at World of Modular? He didn't answer my text the other day. I'm calling you out live. Hope you're doing well, my friend. I hope you're doing well, my friend. I know you're a busy guy. Busy guy. Hey, Michael Bruce is out there. Michael, what's happening? The biggest advantage of 3D over 2D is during the design phase. Much easier to model objects or bring in from vendor file than draw arcs, lines, and circles. Yeah, for sure. I love it. And also having an active bill of materials list based on model context is a big plus for estimating. So, Michael, so give you an idea, like Michael does all the laser scanning, right? So he used to go into all the big facilities and go into a building, go into an electrical substation, set up his laser scanners, and he could get down to the nuts and washers on every bolt in that facility and model
Oh,
it and map it out. So that's where that knowledge comes from. This is somebody that did it at a very high level, and he's now doing it in our industry in a big way as well. Good to see you, Michael. Thank you very much. Wait, Adabir, I knew you'd be out there lurking, waiting for that opportunity. MGO board, Ron Voigt at Forever, board in California. There you go, MGO board, Ron Voigt. Hey, make sure if you call him, you say you heard it here on Dave Cooper Live. That's all there is to that. All right. Josh, is there anything that we didn't talk about that you want people to know about Connex, about you? Is there anything you're looking for that our audience or people out there may be able to help you with? Now's your chance.
who was that guy, Michael? You just threw up with that laser system. I actually want to connect with that guy. That sounds pretty cool.
Michael Bruce. There you go, Michael. Guys, reach out. Definitely.
Yeah,
But go
I'd
ahead.
love
Now's your chance. What do you got?
ooh, wow, Dave, way to put me on the spot, man. I
Hey,
wasn't
just don't
expecting
worry
that
about it. I'm
question.
still here.
No, just I think that education is really important. I think rather than it'd be really great to see much more collaboration. I think that really modular to expand is not going to be a whole bunch of individual companies working independently. I think as a whole, the whole industry really needs to be coming together to work and come up with alternative designs that we can really move around the country to actually start moving the needle. I think it's more than just working independently, and
Yeah.
I think it'd be really cool. And this is obviously a great platform to start that conversation.
Well,
But we're doing a capital raise, so if there's anyone out there that is interested, we're happy to talk to them if they're serious about investing in innovation, because I think that's the key thing is really getting people
sure.
interested and excited about innovation.
Well, there you have it. Good. I appreciate that. And Wade, thank you for joining us as well. All right. Well, you heard it straight from Josh. That's right. We're going to be at World of Modular next week, but I will be out in Las Vegas this Saturday. We are doing a 24-hour live stream. And yes, some of you watching this are going to hear from me. We're going to have guests on from all over the world, and we're going to be staying and sleeping in a casita, one of Boxable's things. This is a hot topic. There's good and bad going on out there around all that. And we are going to bring you the real unedited version of what's really happening and put this to bed. So literally put it to bed. I'm going to be sleeping in one of their beds, but we're going to have the founders on, and it's going to be an open Q&A. And we're also doing our own private CEO executive roundtable. So anybody on the 28th that thinks they want to join us for that, please reach out to me. It is invite only, and we'll get you out some sort of paperwork that you can take a look at and sign up for. So there you have it. All right, listen, Josh, man, this has been great. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. It's a pleasure. Appreciate being on.
I love it, man. You got the market cornered up in Chicago. You told everybody now that you're like one of 3 that's ever attempted. You better start selling a bunch of stuff. Everybody's going to be looking at your market all of a sudden.
We're trying, man. We're trying. The city's it's a fun place to work. Chicago's a great town. I love it. I love it. Very proud to be here.
Chicago is a great, great, great town. All right, listen, thank you so much, everybody, for watching. Josh, you stay right there. I'll come back to you after the outro. And the rest of you, hey, here's some more of our sponsors. Please give them a shout out and check out everything they are doing. What an amazing show. Thank you to all of our sponsors for helping us to continue to bring all of these innovative conversations to all of you out there. Please visit them, see what they have to offer you. And as always, subscribe to the YouTube channel and ring that bell. It would mean the world to us. I'm Dave Cooper. Thanks for watching.